everybody. Welcome back, and thanks for staying tuned with us. Again, we're here with Heather Doney with Life in a Box. So she's been giving us a lot of great information, and now we're going to be talking about what is the process. So, I guess before we joined, I called you up and said, hey, I was like so apprehensive. So knowing kind of what you're going to be asking would be very important for people. So let's say we got somebody that, I'm ready to get myself organized and prepared. What does that look like? Let's say in the first week of you guys getting together.
Well, Linda, the first week of getting together, there's a lot of conversation. There's a lot of questions to be asked. And then there's some narrowing down. So we have to narrow down where to start. There are some clients that I've had that they have one piece of paper in this room, they've got a storage locker over here, they've just moved, they're not sure where things are. And I also have families and clients that have everything already in a file cabinet, organized and ready to go. So what we do is we have a lot of conversation and we go down the brainstorm list to see if there are any gaps. Are there any gaps? So let's check every category, right? So we'll work backwards. We'll start with pets. So if you were to have something happen, Linda, who would want your dog? Would there be someone that you know that loves your dog the way you do, that you would trust, and that we could call them and ask them today, tomorrow, this week, hey, if anything were to happen to me, would you be able to care for my dog? And, then that way you have a contact list of someone, even if you were in the hospital. Let's say that there was no, death or no tragedy involved. You were just maybe in the hospital for a week or so. Someone in your family could call them and say, hey, I know you're on your list to take care of Linda's dog. Those are the kind of things that we sort of process through the whole week. I just start asking the what if questions and then the who do you trust questions.
Gotcha. Okay. Now that's in the first week, and I know from my own personal experience, she gives you homework.
I do that.
And somebody's a bad student and I don't do what I'm supposed to do. But so the next 30 days, you give them sometimes homework to do. So the next 30 days, what does that look like in the process?
Within the first 30 days, Linda, I usually check in about once a week, and I do leave behind the brainstorm list. I do leave behind the binder. And all I ask is that they just, as they see a piece of paper, so let's just say you still get your mortgage statement in the mail, or it pops up in your email. Can you just print that out or take that envelope and slide it in the section or just toss it in a box? Just get a box and let's just start calling this your prepared prep box, right? It's getting ready to go into the factory of the final thing, and then we'll analyze it from there. But it saves a little bit of the stress of the digging. So as soon as you see it, Edward Jones, as soon as you see, Charles Schulte, you just start, let me just toss this in this box. It may be important, it might not, but once we start seeing things, then we start really getting the ball rolling, kind of like a snowball downhill. And then your brain starts working on, I have this other account at Fairwinds Bank, or I have 3 accounts at Wells Fargo. Well, is there anybody on there that could, if it's only in your name, is there someone else that would be able to access that and move it to where it needs to be? Do you have a lawyer? Just those kind of questions in the first 30 days. It sometimes does take about that long just to kind of get where we're ready to sort and organize.
And also a really important thing to put in there is who's, in the event of their passing, who's going to be the real estate agent to take care of it.
And that is really actually important because people have different relationships with different people, and we all are 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon, right? Or 6 degrees or whatever it was called. So we all have people that we know that we've networked with. And inside the binder, I'll just show you real quick, I always have pre-made like business card holders. And that's so helpful because you may have given me your business card along the way and I thought, oh my gosh, I really like you. If I ever wanted to sell my house, I would definitely call you. So I'll just slip that in here. This is an active document. I kind of remind my clients too, every year when you do your taxes, could you just take a look at this binder? Because it will definitely help you if you stay up with it, if you've moved, had a baby, changed careers, changed banks. What if you dropped your investments, sold your stocks? That's so important to have. So I usually try to keep those business card holders. So that would be like your first point of reference, and then you could go from there.
Okay, perfect. How long does it normally take to, it's probably a continuously
Yes.
active process, but how long does it take to go like, okay, I got it all done until you need to go back and revisit it? Does that take about 6 months, a year?
Oh, no, not that long. It usually takes, I would say, 45 days to really get it to where it was usable. But that also depends then too on the availability of how many hours a week, because what I have learned is that not everyone likes to deal with paper like I do. So they may want to do it
me, I
in
don't like
10-minute excursions and call it a day, and that's okay with me.
Yeah.
I just want the ball rolling. I want the thought process. I want you to be able to feel like you're in control if something were to happen. So really it's individually based, and honestly, I'm really proud of the fact that I can adapt and execute with any type of client. You want to sit for 8 hours? Let's get it done. I've done that before. Just got it all done. Here you go, signed and delivered. I'll put Post-it notes on everything for reminders of calling your beneficiary to change, that kind of stuff, leave homework. Yep.
So one of the things a lot of people say is like, why do I want a paper copy? I want to have it all digital because what ifs? So what's the solution to that? To have it either on a paper copy like you have here or on a digital, both? What's your recommendation?
Personally, I like to look at the paper. If I'm let's just say something happens, my mom has a stroke. She's in Indiana. I'm gonna fly to Indiana. Of course, I'm gonna see her. But I can tell my brother, my cousin, my son or daughter, hey, go to grandma's house, grab her black box, bring it with you to the hospital. You may not always have like a Wi-Fi access, or, if they save it on a USB drive, where am I gonna put that? My iPad doesn't have a USB drive anymore, so I can't dig it or retrieve it. And so having just a paper copy, even if it's just a list of phone numbers and account numbers, or say her life insurance policy or long-term care policy, is there a contact information? Let me call Joe, at wherever she has her insurance and say, hey, my mom has a situation, but if it's all digital, it's harder for me to access in that situation. I want to be right there beside my mother, going through her documents, sitting there with her, not at home on the computer trying to thumb through everything and being away from her. So that's sort of where it goes both ways, but I think always having like at least something in writing is easier to follow.
Okay, good. All right, so question for you. What are 3 pieces of advice that you would give to somebody who hasn't even started this process, doesn't even want to think about it, doesn't want to acknowledge the fact that, things can happen? So what's your top 3 pieces of advice?
Okay, Linda, my top 3 pieces of advice are: the first one is to give yourself grace. Not everyone is open and vulnerable when it comes to talking about your finances, your funeral plans. You don't want to picture that. You don't want to have that conversation. Some people are superstitious.
Yeah.
So give yourself some grace. It's okay if you're not ready. It's okay. But then the second piece of advice is have a conversation at least with one family member and say, you know what? I don't really have it all together, but I have a legal pad in my top drawer of my file cabinet that sort of has some chicken scratch ideas of things I may want, to give the china to the granddaughter or whatever it might be. Just starting slow. There is going to be some pushback from some people, and that's okay. And then the third thing would be to contact someone like me. It doesn't have to be me. I would love for it to be me, but someone that you can trust or that is outside of the family that has that confidentiality to where they can just open up that door, just a little bit with some kindness and tenderness. So the 3 things: grace, one person in your family maybe to just say, hey, here's some basic instructions. And then the third thing would be to really try to open up to someone like me that can really get the ball rolling and get you organized and prepared for really anything in life.
Gotcha. All right. Real quick before we end this, you're referring to this box over here. What is that?
Oh, yes. Okay, so this is just a small sample. There are plenty to be found. I use different sizes for different jobs. But this is a fireproof and waterproof box. Got it just, on Amazon or whatever. And it zips. It has a couple of pockets inside. I tend not to advise anyone to keep original documents in here. This is like a grab and go situation. Binder fits really nice inside. You could store some CDs, digital pictures, your USB drive, that kind of stuff. This is your grab and go, like, emergency box. Something you definitely don't want, like, out in the open. But if you don't have a safe, like you don't have one of those big giant bank safes in your closet, this is the thing. It has a lock, and you just kind of tuck it in your closet under your shoe pile, and no one will know.
All right. Well, great. Well, great. So tell us, when somebody wants to contact you to get the ball rolling on getting organized and being prepared, how do they reach out to you?
Okay, well, I do have my cell phone number, obviously. That would be 407. It's 412-1167. And my email is the best, or the text from my phone, and that's lifeinaboxinfo@gmail.com. Those are the two best ways to get a hold of me, because then we can actually get into a conversation.
Perfect. And we'll have the information displayed below here.
Yes.
And awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
It's been awesome. So guys, if you're getting ready to be prepared, make sure you reach out to Heather Doney. And I am Linda Schulte, the broker owner of Schulte Realty here in the Central Florida area. And don't forget, I can help you out in Central Florida with buying, selling, or investing. But at Schulte Realty, we can take care of you anywhere in Florida, because at Schulte Realty, we cover Florida like the sunshine. All right, bye everybody. Thank you.